This episode is brought to you by Beneful. Mornings are when the grind starts. Stretches, immaculate. Cardio, crushed it. Territory, marked. Sorry, geraniums. The dog routine is on point, but it can get a little wolf. That's why I fuel up with high-protein Beneful freshly prepared meals. I'm eating clean with real meat and veggies, served fresh from the pantry. Kick boring in the bowl with Beneful freshly prepared meals. Visit Purina.com/Beneful to shop now.
Adobe Acrobat, your new foundation. Use PDF spaces to generate a presentation. Grab your docs, your permits, your moves. AI levels up your pitch, gets it in a groove. Choose a template with your timeless cool. Come on now, let's flex those tools. Draft, design, deliver, make it sing. AI builds the deck so you can build that thing. Do that, do that, do that with Acrobat.
Learn more at adobe.com/do-that-with-acrobat.
Back with a second attempt to record Keeping Current with Kansas City. This is Ed Bell from the KC Soccer Journal. With me, Gary Robinson from the KC Soccer Journal and Off to See the Wizards, and Daniel Sperry with a freshly re-plugged in and set microphone and from the Kansas City Star. Carrie, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. But now that I'm watching highlights, my day has gotten, or rewatching highlights, my day has gotten a lot worse in the last 5 minutes.
Sperry, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Other than me giving you crap.
Other than you giving me crap, I'm fine.
Which you kind of deserved.
I mean, kind of. It wasn't my fault the mic decided to glitch out. So, sorry.
All right. We have, I don't remember when we last recorded, but in the last week, the Kansas City Current have went on the road and lost in Chicago, lost in Seattle, and lost, Spokane, whatever, not Seattle.
Somewhere in Washington.
And, yeah, in the Northwest and Portland. The key point here is they lost, and lost. It wasn't exactly where. Although it is embarrassing to lose at Chicago, but, you know.
Yeah.
How do we discuss these three games?
Not well, because it's not going well.
I
think where we left off at, what we defined as a good road win this early in the season would be 4 points and coming back healthy. We got the healthy part as far as we know.
Just missed out on 4 points. To
the
be
mental
honest,
health might be the question. But
yeah,
continue.
I agree with that. To be honest, I don't know that it's worth analyzing the second game. I just don't. And I know it's hard because I know fans will just see the scoreline and feel a certain kind of way about it. And I think that's fair to feel your feels about it. However, that lineup left a significant amount to be desired from the entire front positions. Nobody was closing down one of the best crossers and the best assists maker fullback in league history in Sofia Huerta. And, you know, I just look at some of those things in that, and to me, it's not worth parsing that second game out of those three as a reflection of this team because just so much of it wasn't the team. But I do really think that you got to look at the first and the third game, the bookends, and do some head scratching. Yeah.
You can do some head scratching, I think, on all three to a certain extent. I will say the Chicago game is actually the game I kind of don't pay attention to as much because of the wind, the turf. It was very, we've all seen kids games out there where the wind's blowing so hard the ball rolls when nobody's playing it. They played terrible. One goal they gave up, they just allowed a Chicago player to run right up the middle, pass it wide and right back into the middle and score.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Thad, that if I was looking at one of these games, I'm looking at the Chicago one and I'm throwing it out. Just because this team historically does not do well either at home or on the road when there are extreme conditions, whether that is extreme heat, a rain delay for multiple hours. We just can't play through those things, unfortunately.
Yeah, although I will hesitate to like compare this team to any other previous team because I think there's this year, there's the Vlaco years, there's the Potter Herbloom air years, and the Hugh years. They're all kind of different in how those
Year.
teams were put together and how they
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
So that's why I mean, I can understand why Daniel's saying the game in Spokane we kind of ignore it also because it was just a throw a lineup out there because they're playing 3 games in a row on turf at the beginning of the season when you don't have people fit and you're
Got
still missing players. So I understand that.
You got a travel commercial. Like I know that sounds silly, but I don't think you all understand, like especially last week with all the TSA issues, how much time was probably spent in an airport instead of in a training field on a recovery room. I mean, about all they could do was watch video.
Yeah.
It is to be stuck in a situation like that, especially to Chicago, from Chicago to Spokane, and then Spokane to Portland. Like it's not as far, but man, it just I mean that's 3 full travel days out of 7 days in the week, and you had 3 games the other days. I mean
Yeah.
that's that's not good. And I don't mean to pass it off as an excuse, but I do think it colors the way we should look at the way they approach those games. And I will still stand on this. I just think because in the first game, like we can talk about the conditions that were in that game, but ultimately the Current had better scoring chances the whole game. They did not put them away. Dabinia had a chance. Sentnor had a couple of shots. There was a couple of shots late in that game. And frankly, Chicago did not like dominate or do anything. They had 2 chances really that they put away because of some poor defending. I look at that game and I say, we've got to be circling that one because that's where some of the alarm bells started for me. Then you get to Portland and you think, okay, you have a throwaway game in the middle of the week, weird place you've never played before. It is a team. I understand. Yes, Seattle lost a game where the other team had 2 players up, but if you don't think that team's coming out with a reaction,
Yeah.
then I fully expect that, and especially a team that was in their feels as much over the Current raising the shield on their heads in the middle of the season as that team was last year. There's a little bit of added hatred for that one for them. So you have that as that middle game, and then the Portland game for the Current to say we're going to respond and lay an egg, a
Yeah.
big fat stinky egg. It was not that's a troubling sign for me.
So I'm going to just take it that all 3 games had a reason that you could excuse it or bypass it, or again, I hate to use the word excuse, but you could say, okay, I understand that one a little bit. Uh, but it's the overall piece of work. It's not
Yeah.
that they lost this game, which is bad, or that game, which was bad, or the other game, which was bad. But I do think that that final thing in Portland, Arma saying we're going to come out, we're going to respond. I can't remember if the players said that pregame, in the match day -1, but it's we're going to come out, and they had to because you don't want to be embarrassed and lose 3 games in a row,
Yeah,
and they
it
did.
was interesting to see, just, like, the current socials afterwards. They are quick to like things on Instagram, what they wanna like, and, it was people saying, "Oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint," and current were liking that, but then you have other people saying, like, "That sucked," and they weren't liking that.
No,
Well,
no, they weren't.
the usual social media strategy of screaming it from the mountaintops doesn't quite work when you are, you know, 3 games in the hole and a whole lot of questions on the outside looking at.
And taking these last 3 games as a piece of work, as a body of work, even that home opener, which they won 2-1 after going down 1, if they had their regular keeper, that maybe doesn't happen. Maybe it's a 1-0 loss or a 1-1 draw. The keeper there was not as strong as their normal keeper. I'm not trying to put all the blame on her, but so it could have. This has not been a great first 4 games of the season. Now I've been saying I didn't think it would be with the players they've lost, with
Mhm.
bringing in a coach that they shouldn't have gotten. Chris is a very nice guy. I want to always say nice things about him. But it's all of these things combined.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't even know where to say it anymore.
I mean, even the announcers are like, "Oh, this is the same team from last year that's struggling." There's different players, a whole different well, not really a whole different coaching staff, but, they're under the leadership of a new guy. That label does not carry over from last
No,
year.
I know. I keep seeing people like, oh, it's shocking that the Shield winners are doing this. It's not the Shield winners. They're missing 3 good players, 2 players out from it, or 1 player out still on injury, another player still recovering. Um, it's not the same team by a long shot. All right. So how do we approach this more, Mr. Sperry? Did the did the coach do the right maneuvering as much as we can tell with the players he started in each of those 3 games?
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I think once Chewinga comes back, I have some questions about how exactly they're going to fit everybody, and I have a thought process of how he needs to go about it. I don't know how he does go about it, um, but um, I think in the long run, I think that's the right way to go. You go in Chicago, play your best lineup. You should probably expect to get a win. They played better than Chicago. They didn't because they kind of failed in 2 crucial moments, and the elements were not very conducive. But Chicago also played in those elements.
Yeah.
And then this for me, you have to, because of the lack of training time and all that, you're also, in a way, you're trying to get minutes for players and also not risk them too much, um, to do a rotation in the middle of that. Just probably the best way to go about it, in my opinion. And I know, Sharples doesn't start the second game. She didn't come into the game too until it was down 2-0, I believe. And so those are some of the things that, like, when I look at that team, and the way that was set up. I mean, Sharples maybe the only one in Portland, but Sharples did then play back-to-back games at 90 minutes. So you got to give him some rest at some point, and I totally understand that. On paper, they have the center back depth to rotate those players around. Yeah, I I think he played the cards right with the lineup, to be honest. I don't know that there's really another way that he could have played it, especially you have the whole Kelsey Branson thing. My question is, Rocky was on that road trip. She played hardly any minutes. I think she maybe played 15, 30 minutes like the entire road trip. That's a big question mark to me, of like, if you're willing, like, where was she in the middle of some of that stuff, especially in that second game, to get more run out. Um, Katie Scott's a marathoner. I would have liked to have seen maybe Gabrielle Robinson at some point longer time in the six, instead of being down 2-0 and all morale gone out the window
Yeah.
in Portland, where that came in. But those are like little nitpicky things. Ultimately, in 2 of those 3 games, the lineup that they put out was good enough to probably at least take a point, if not win. And they're not
All
going to
right.
come away with it.
So the lineups were probably about as good as Armis could have put out there. We can nitpick here or there, who may have been in which position, or maybe should have gotten more time. And I do wonder with Rocky if she's actually got the fitness to do a lot more, because she's also one that's coming back off of injury. So we really don't know with Rocky having the fitness to go out there for a long period of time. So it's a juggle, and this is a lot of it still goes back to why the roster is the way it is, but we're not discussing that right now.
Hmm.
Um, by the end of this week, it just looked like the players were defeated. I mean, the body language was not good. They know they've given up 8 goals, I think, so far this year, which is, you know 2/3 of the way to everything they gave up last year. Uh,
Mhm.
They've already lost the amount they lost last year in a
yeah,
week.
yeah. It's it's not good for morale, and their only hope right now is Timwa comes back or something like that. Did
Not
you
just
did
their only hope, our only hope.
did you see them looking pretty like what did you think of their body language? I don't want to say did you see it this way, but what did you think of how they looked, how their body language was?
Frustration was probably the biggest thing for me. I don't know. Yes, defeat, but like I think there's a healthy level of frustration, I think. And that I expect. I didn't think it was slumpy shoulders. I didn't think it was it wasn't like demonstrative towards each other. So I think those are good signs. I mean, to me, if you're on the back end, like the way that second half went, you give up the goals that you did in that game. Absolutely should not have given up either of those goals. It probably deserves to be down at some point with Sophia Wilson's first half hitting the post a couple of times, but in reality, so I think the scoreline was fair. But in reality, those two goals are just fluky, stupid situations where they concede, and you can see frustration festering and boiling. And I think that's healthy. I want to see these players frustrated here because if you're defeated and just like, all right, just keep the beatings coming, like Sporting looked at the end of last season of like, all right, let's just roll out there and take the next L, and I'll get out of here when my contract's up. Like that's not the player vibe that I see. But
I
I
don't,
do think there is a there is a healthy frustration that should be there because I think these are prideful players and are going to want to get it right.
I won't disagree that they have the healthy frustration part of that is there and that they want to get it right. I will say I feel like I was seeing slumped shoulders at times, not infighting though,
Yeah,
and it just felt like there was a couple players that were like, "Okay, I'm just resigned to we're not going to do well today." It, again, I don't want to read people's minds because I can't, but just the body language I was seeing when I was watching it back was not great.
yeah.
Now, again, sometimes you can take these frustrations and turn around a season and do better, but I don't know that we see that that's going to happen at the moment.
I mean, it very well can,
It
and
very well can.
I will caution some people, not saying you specifically, but I'll caution fans into saying we're in 4 games already. And you still have the entirety of what last year's regular season was in terms of games to
Right.
go. And so we've got a long ways to go. And Portland away, Seattle away, two of the toughest road trips you can probably
Yes.
deal with. That team last year lost to Seattle on the road,
Yeah.
regardless of who they put out there. And so I just think I want us to be cautious before and fans to be cautious before like fully giving up. But I also understand that there is a healthy level of concern and questioning of what on earth is happening right now. Because I think more so than the body language that was a problem for me over the games, it was the lack of a clear and cohesive way forward with the ball. It seems like get the ball to somebody, get the ball to the next open person if you can, and make a run, somebody will find you kind of thing. In reality, like there's not people making differentiating runs. No one's checking to the ball while someone's making the running behind. No one's making a certain run to open up a gap and pull a defender with them as much. Like those were little things that I was really impressed when I saw Penelope Hawking in the first game. She was immediately picking up smart runs and picking and dragging defenders with her and kind of setting screens off the ball for things to open up. I haven't seen the current offense look like that at all in any way, shape, or form over the last 3 games. And like there has not in the second half even of that game, it seemed like there was a clear and cohesive way forward for that attacking group. They were getting in the right channels. The ball was moving in transition. They were getting it out wide. Even in the first half, there were player movements and rotations, balls over the top to Cooper that you say, okay, if Cooper's, more fit, more healthy, she probably gets there. You know, and that like it feels like it has gotten worse from the first game. And that is my true alarm bell over that is like this is a very vaunted front four, but a lot of them have played together before. Like we to think that Croy Bethune, Michelle Cooper, and Ali Setnor have not had time in any way, shape, or form together with the national team setup is crazy. Like those three of that starting front four has played together before in some way, shape, or form, and has gone through trainings and
Yes.
training camps before. It
Mhm.
cannot look the way it just did. And so in those first couple of games. So that's really my big question for Armis is like, and that was, I asked that in the post game. He talked about trying to, get into four bodies, one mind kind of thing, which I understand that, but like that somebody needs to put players in their place. They can't just be told to figure it out. They need instruction and a vision forward for how to do that. And I have not seen that yet regularly.
They need guidance to where to be. Not
Mhm.
that you have to be there all the time, not that you have to do exactly these runs. You have creative players. And one of the problems is you basically have 3 10s out there with
Mhm.
Davinia, Alley, and Croy. And try and, there was times when, and the announcer said that Cooper was told to cut more to the middle. So now you got 4 players kind of going to the middle at times, which can be a great overload. I mean, we've seen great teams like Barcelona can do that, right?
Mhm.
Or could. But when you have a team that's not firing on all cylinders and isn't doing well, it sometimes just mucks everything up. How much of this will rely on Armis being able to say, here's exactly what I want you to do, but you can still do it with freedom. You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah.
just tell them because you can't tell these
Right.
players only run these channels, only do this.
Right. But like there needs to be so you know how many times in the past couple of years we've heard, okay, like we knew against this team we need to be hitting balls through this seam to
Yeah.
players. Okay, so they know where the runs are coming for that. Um Bia and Dabinia understood the space between them, but they were also two very different players. Ali and Dabinia want to be in the same spaces at all times, and they can't be in the same spaces at all times. And Croy is being played wide left, and she is not a winger, and so um, she is not there she is not occupying a fullback for the other team.
Right.
That fullback is now free, aka Sofia Huerta, who is now there free to just send it. Now I know Croy wasn't on the field in that first half where those goals come in, but that's another symptom of who they did have out there on the field was also kind of doing the same thing, and she was out of position and not there to close down crosses. So I look at those kind of things, and I just like there's not been a structure of like this is the picture that we need to be in when we have the ball in these moments. These are the pictures that we're looking for, player here, player here, player here. If we're cutting in down the right, we've got to have these 3 types of runs. Everyone's making the same run. I don't know how many times in the first half I watched Lola Bonta pick up the ball and turn up field, and everyone is running a vertical. No one's checking to her to do it. And it's like that, even in the NFL, like they're very rarely are all 3 receivers running go routes and going. Someone's got to come over the middle. Someone's going to take a turn and take a step back and cut back so they can open up space in behind for someone else going deep. And, if that pass isn't on, then you got to hit the check down. Like these are like, I know this is crazy NFL things, but this is literally like how you have to structure an offense in soccer as well. And it's he talks about 4 bodies, 1 mind. I really don't want them all thinking the same thing
Right.
because they're all going to be in the same place. You do 4 bodies on the same page. Sounds great, of where they're supposed to be.
I mean,
And so that
isn't that like the run that we had last year whenever, once Temmo got hurt, they're just trying to once someone gets the ball, everyone's just going as fast as they can to try to be Temmo in the moment,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and no one's fast enough to do that.
Yeah.
And they were so used to launching a ball up that she could catch, but nobody else could.
Right.
So they would launch it up, and again, great players and good speed, but not Timois speed. So you got Cooper trying to catch up to a ball, or Debinha trying to catch
Debinha.
up to a ball, or whoever else was out there. Alley trying to catch up to a ball that Timois would have got to, and then everybody else could have caught up to that play.
Right. And we know that this team, at least last year, had creativity to get those goals before, getting Temwa that last goal to make it 2-0
Right.
in every single game.
Because a
But
lot of her
right now
goals were the second goals.
Yeah.
exactly, but right now we're just not seeing that creativity. It's just, the one pass it up or trying to get quick on that counter.
And with all due respect to Vlaco was also not the offensive coach
Right.
in the way that was going to ever like structure the front attack. He might he's an overall game plan kind of guy, but that also this doesn't all just land on Armas, because Armas
No.
also is not an offensive guy. Like, this question mark goes beyond just Chris. It goes to the rest of the coaching staff. Like, you've got to figure it out and get these players on the same page, not thinking the exact same way. And I would like to see, I believe it is Freya who works more with the attackers and the wingers, and so like I want to see more ideas with this group, because I know she can. I know Freya is capable of it. We've seen work that she's done over the past couple of years with Michelle Cooper and a few others that have kind of grown up in that offense over the last, and so I play even Haley Hopkins at times, comes in and looks perfect in the spot starts or minutes off the bench. So I know the work is there and the ability is there, but I think that's the biggest piece missing right now, is a clear, cohesive idea forward for that front four from the coaching staff. And it doesn't, it's an all hands on deck approach at the moment. I think needs to be, at least.
Part of that does still also come from the midfield, because they're not
Correct.
winning as many balls. They're not getting as much opportunity, because again, they've been severely depleted since Claire
Mhm.
traded, and with Low hurt and all that, they've not had as much control in the midfield, and it's going both ways, right? We've seen
Mhm.
players run through the middle because uh, the the forechecking, the aggressive press up top wasn't there, because you didn't have Timois, and Cooper isn't that totally fit, and nobody else was doing it as much. We would see last year, actually, Debinha did a great job of doing those defensive runs, but she can't do it all. And again, Cooper, I don't think, has been doing it as well. And I don't know if they're trying to do the same type of pressing triggers they did last year, because it seems very disjointed.
Yeah.
Everything has seemed disjointed. I mean, front to back, back to front has seemed disjointed. And I don't want to lay all that on Armas, because it is the players they have now, the players they've lost, the players they didn't re-sign, has all comes into play. And the players that having to play in spots that's not their natural spot. I mean, Katie Scott, we like her as a back. She's been trying to play a D mid role. That's I don't I'm not I mean, she's doing as well as she can there, I believe, and could grow there, but that's just not her natural role.
And it
All this
showed.
comes down to that roster build too, that so many nonsensical things that happened.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad they signed Penelope Hawking to a contract extension, and I like what I've seen from Penelope in some
Yeah.
moments. But like, at the same time, why on earth were they going and getting a winger? That team desperately needs a defensive midfielder. I
Yeah.
that's a move that severely confuses me. Because you have Gianna Paul who can play, you have Amelia White, you have all these players. So if you say, "Oh, we're going to trust in young players," and then we're going to go, "Oh crap, we got to go get Penelope Hawking," what does that tell me more about the young players, or like, what does it tell me at all? And talk about the roster build, like you said, the six is so concerning right now, and the depth that they have there.
They
And
have no six. I mean, again, Lowe can play there, Rocky can play there,
yeah.
but both of them were better as eights, and they're better as a second defensive midfielder with another one that's their natural role, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So if they're relying on Rocky and Lowe to play a dual pivot six kind of thing, I think we're going to see just a lot of people running through the midfield again.
Yeah.
And it feels like it feels like a lot of these moves, and I don't want to say it feels like, kind of what I've heard from people I've talked to is these are reactionary moves. Like they just went and got Hawking because like, oh, we need somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They went and got when Claire finally forced the deal to move, they said, oh, we got to do a big move to cover that. So they went and got Croy. Doesn't cover what Claire did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's only a couple players in the league that can even come close to what Claire was doing or
Yeah.
could do in the future.
Say, San Diego Wave, could we give you $100 for Kenza Dali, please and thank you? Oh, wait, sorry, it's not going to be that easy.
No.
Oh,
So again, these moves have been reactionary. They've been nonsensical. And again, my understanding is that Vlaco's not been involved in any of these moves, which is really, really weird.
really?
So I want to tell a little out of school story. I don't know if that's the right phrasing. At the end of last year, I don't want to say probably like November, December, sometime frame in there. I saw Vlaco outside of the current, away from the current. It was at a Comets game, and I was just talking to him like, "God, this team has some holes to fill, right? Like, is there going to be any like big trades coming that and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Well, you never know, right?" He was kind of talking, but the one thing he said was, "There's 3 players that will never be traded by him: Claire Hutton, Michelle Cooper, and Timois." I'm like, "Yeah, I wouldn't trade any of those either." I said, in fact, the number one player I would not ever trade would be Claire. And he kind of nodded, and I said, Cooper would be my next one because Timois, you can build a team around she's a little bit one note in some ways, an amazing player that does so many great things. But, and so there's 3 players that would never be traded by Vlaco. And then how much, a couple months later, and they're trading Claire Hutton.
Yeah.
It's not pretty damn sure that it was not him and that he's not involved in making those decisions at this point. And again, one that I can't confirm, but I was also told that Armis didn't even know that they were trading for Hawking. So I don't know if that one's 100% true, but that sounds right to everything else I've been hearing. That is all troubling. All right. Anything? What else can we talk about these 3 games? I mean, it's hard to talk about 3 games. It's hard to break down all lineups of 3 games. We don't need to really do that. We talked about what went wrong. Anything else? Carrie?
No. I
Did I
mean,
make you sadder?
What's a
little
way?
bit.
What's
I'm
a way
sorry.
forward? What's the way forward is the question, I think. Like what do you want to see on Saturday against Gotham?
Kayla
Like
Sharples.
well, yeah, I'd like to see Kayla Sharples. I'd like to see a Sharples e-ball backlight again. I understand. I am not faulting them for
Right.
getting shellacked in Seattle. Man,
I don't.
first and foremost, like some sort of reaction. I can understand maybe if you're, they said yes, we want a big reaction. Okay, fine. If you don't come out and have a good reaction in this game, I have very large questions about even the minuscule playoff aspirations. Um, like
Yeah.
like uh, like that that would be a pretty um damning early statement to go out and lay an emotional. I don't care, but I'm dead serious. I don't care if they lose to Gotham, as long as it is something where I can say like they didn't beat themselves and
They fought.
they fought and they looked coherent for 2/3 of the game. If we're sitting there and it is just a confusing mess and they're down a goal within the first 15 minutes, they're down 2 goals by halftime, like that's the true alarm bells. And I'm sounding alarm bells now, but I think that's like the all right, we're at DEF CON whatever whatever DEFCON is worse, the higher the lower number. I can't ever remember half the time.
I know it always
But-
seems like it goes the opposite way of what you think it would.
Correct.
So I think it's on several levels. Again, the you need to see the fight from the players, and you want to see a cohesive style of play for half, 2/3 of the game. That's on the coaching staff. That's on Armis. Because we can say that, yes, the other coaches were there before, but if he's changing things, that may not be what they were prepared to do. If he's, we don't know. And I want to be very fair to Coach Armis. There's not much coaching he could have done over the last week because of the travel and the games and recoveries and all that stuff. All he could basically have done is say, okay, you three are starting up top. You were doing here, you're going there. You point some arrows and hope they play well. In fairness to Coach Armis, we need to give him another month of stuff before we can really say, hey, you've totally screwed up the team or you're starting to fix the team. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. I mean, the amount of times I get after every game, like, is Armis on the hot seat? This is not a Matt Potter situation.
No.
All of those involved in what happened with Matt Potter no longer are in the organization. And so that's not going to happen.
No, that's not quite true.
Okay. Anyways,
There's just
Mr. Well,
crazy-
actually, as we keep moving on this subject,
Usually I call Sperry, actually.
this isn't a Chris or a Potter situation.
Right.
This is you probably need longer leash. But the leash starts to get shorter the less of a reaction or an improvement you see. If you see the team continuing to trend into more confusion and more bad body language on the field, like less of a reaction, like that's the real that's the worrying sign. That's the alarm bell about that you might need to make a change there. But ultimately, I mean, I think 10 games at minimum is the required leash at the very shortest of all leashes, unless something really bad happens.
Yeah, it's almost like there's like a parabola where at this certain point, this is where it's like not gonna be detrimental to a team to fire a coach too early. They just gotta figure out where that peaking point is. If that was the case.
What you also can't do though is hire a coach or fire a coach, 3 games into a season and then run with an interim the entire way and think any of this is going to change. Like that's not going to happen. And so I don't, to me, I still think I would be stunned to see him be gone before the year is over, unless this team literally loses like the next 7 games in a row. I mean, it's, you got to give a coach time and you got to give him a fair shout, especially when you're the ones who hired him.
And the ones that hamstrung you.
Yep.
Because again, I don't think Vlaco would have gotten a perfect record out of these last 4 games either with this roster. I think he would have got a couple more points, maybe even 3 more points, but it was a tough road stretch. We've said that from the beginning. I want to be fair to Coach Armis. I'd still say he was a wrong hire. They should not have hired him at that moment and everything else, but he is hired. It is his job. Got to give him a chance to fix what has been broken by others and potentially himself. Damn. Sometimes I hate being fair. I want to just rant and like say fire people, but I don't. You never hear me say fire coaches, right? So I don't do that. And I'm not going to. But
Same.
yes, the leash would be getting shorter. The leash would be maybe starting to smolder in a few more games. But he does deserve those.
He deserves, I mean, deserves Like in a perfect world, he deserves a good half season before any of us cast true judgments. This is not a good and perfect world, so I understand that. But like,
Right.
I think I this is not a great recipe for success at the moment.
No.
And
And I mean, I don't have faith that he's going to turn it around, but he has to have a fair chance to do so. So, all right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
Now that we're back and refreshed and in a much more jovial mood, I'm probably not going to put out the video of this, but Sperry just gave me a look that was pretty good. Carrie's just like, where did you come up with that, stupid? But anyway, Gotham this weekend. What do we expect from Gotham? They're not the greatest team either at the moment. Their results have mostly come against expansion type teams, haven't they?
And a loss. Yeah. They lost 2-0 to Denver Summit.
Oh yeah.
they have won as many games as the current. They just have not remotely given up as many goals or lost as many games, but they have won as many games as the current. And their only win was against Boston, who I don't know that they will win a game for a while.
It looks dire for them.
They just got a 0-0 draw against Orlando though. So they have 1 win, 2 draws, so that they have more points. And most of their games have been at home so far. Their one win was on the road though at Boston. So yeah. And again, with the current, they haven't played those expansion teams yet. They played the previous expansion team, Utah. What do we expect from Gotham? Who's going to be the most dangerous players for them?
Esther?
Probably. They really don't have like Midge Purse has not been a significant factor yet.
Jay Howell?
Jalen Howell. I would be interested to see if we see Guro Wrighton make her debut with Gotham. She is a star player from Chelsea. Very good, crafty, attacking player. Will probably play in the wing. But their wing play has not been good with Shapansky and Stengel. Purse has been coming off the bench. They've kind of got some wing questions, although, like I said, Guro Wrighton might be the answer to some of those questions. But ultimately, it's that back line for Gotham that's going to be the toughest test. It's Emily Sonnet, who's always good. Jess Carter, who's always up for it. Lily Reel is a great U.S. Women's National Team player. And frankly, Kayla Duran has shown relatively well this early part of the season. There's a few other players that you might see in there. Of course, Tierna Davidson potentially could be back at some way, shape, or form. She's starting to get more minutes as she came back from her torn ACL last year. So, or Achilles, I can't remember exactly. She had a very significant ACL. She had a very significant ligament injury, and she's been on her way back.
And I fear, have you seen her haircut? It looks great. I fear her comeback with a haircut is going to be insane.
I'll
As
have to go
long
look for that.
as long as the knees don't do what the knees seem to do for
That's true.
It is we talked about Gotham had a win and 2 draws, but they've only scored 1 goal.
they have.
They've
And
given
it
up
was-
2,
Sure.
scored 1, and so they will be tough defensively, like you were talking about their back line. And for the Current, who have not scored a whole lot this season either, it may be a very defensive match. So it may not be a 5-4 win like Garmus would prefer to have.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably. I mean, they've led in 2. One of them was just a complete cluster from AKB, who was just playing with the ball, got step 2, and then just lost the ball. It was very
Yeah.
funny to watch. Can't lie.
No.
Highlight of
Yeah.
my week was that.
All right, predictions.
0
Do we dare?
1 Gotham, and it's gonna be a stupid player like Stengel or McCaskill to
She's
score.
not stupid.
I'm gonna call them stupid.
Okay.
Carrie is
not-
our
that's
outlet
not-
for calling players names.
That's not nice.
Yeah, I don't care.
How about you, Daniel?
I am gonna say 2-1 Gotham. Guro with a debut goal and Esther. Probably
Who for Kansas City?
Deb.
I was going to go 2-1 Gotham as well, but I was going to say the player with the most heart on Kansas City Current, Izzy Rodriguez.
Maybe. The Rocket.
Yeah. She's the one I go to a lot to predict goals when I just don't have any other reason to predict anybody else.
I actually thought Sentner looked decent in the last game. I only watched part of it because CBS only got it out today. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we had an alley goal.
She can
Even
I'd like
score
to
one.
see. I'd like to
Even
see
though I
more
didn't
than an alley goal.
predict the Current to score.
I've seen a lot of people complain about Alley again, so there's other players I would probably complain about more myself, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to discuss today?
Former KC Current players. Alex
You
Alex
want to rub it
Pfeiffer
in?
with a goal and an assist.
Her
I thought-
second 2-goal contribution game of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be curious to see when she scores again at CPKC Stadium, what her reaction and celebration is
For both of the goals she scores.
if she scores. But we'll see. She's on a heater.
October 3rd.
It's good to see. Good for her.
It's gonna be her shushing the crowd like she did against Mexico 2 years ago in a friendly, a youth national team friendly, or maybe it was in a tournament, but still.
It wasn't a tournament, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that, and it was if I remember right, the crowd was getting on the US and she just shut them up. So
I'm scared for her aura. If there's one player I'm scared of, I can't lie, it's her.
why is that?
The aura is just too much.
I'm old. You have to explain aura.
Aura,
She's-
it's like vibes.
You're probably gonna have to explain those to him too.
Oh, you've explained many more things that are more like Gen Z slang
Me?
to Shades of Blue. No, Thad has.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Actually, I think I do understand aura, and I think I do understand vibes, but it was just more fun to try to get you to do it.
I don't know how to explain it. I just know the slang and I know how to use it.
I would say she has a presence,
That works.
and I would actually have used aura also, but probably an older version of it. But yes, so it's okay. I'm always curious. I'm
The-
always trying to learn.
The cool factor, the charisma.
Yeah. I I also would say she has a chip on her shoulder. She's always going to be playing with that edge, and I think that's what is going. If she becomes the player that I think she can become, that will be one of her advantages. She's going to be playing with that that edge and always a little bit wanting to just dominate you. And that's a lot of great national team players have played like that. So you don't like it when you're on the wrong end of it, though. But yeah, she's tied for second in assists right now, tied for like third in goal or fourth in goal, something like that. She's doing really well. And Claire, I think, is like leading the league in duels won and a bunch of other defensive type stats. And both of those players could be really beneficial to the Current right now. And I don't know how many times this year we're going to say it was malpractice to have gotten rid of them, or create the situation that made Claire asked to go. So, and we'll probably discuss that in depth if things fall apart at some point. All right. Any other players? Anything else around the league?
How about 63,000? Huh? At Denver's opening home match. They could have been treated to a much better soccer game because, oh my gosh, that was like pounding my head into a wall. In the second half there, both teams, it was brutal. Washington was just like, could not figure out how to pass the ball inside the box or near the box. And Denver thought they had Temo Chawinga and did not, and just kept launching the ball up to players who were like 1v4 on the side, crossing to nobody. And it was like, oh my gosh, that was a brutal watch. I think there was a lot of brutal watches though, on the back half of the 70 billion games in 3 days, this early in the season.
Why did they do that?
Who knows?
I mean,
I'm dead serious. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know why they played the midweek game, but they had so many pure CBS windows on Saturday. I think they were just trying to build into the idea of everyone's going to be watching the Sweet 16 later. There's no MLS on. Let's just flood the zone here and throw a bunch of games up because people are going to be before the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 games on Saturday night. People are going to be on CBS already. So,
all right. Appreciate the time. If you got any other last words, say something. But otherwise, I think we'll let it go, and we will happily talk about the next game, whatever the result may be. And we're out.